I guess I can show you guys what my next knife is that I'm coming out with. That not necessarily coming out with. I have a prototype here that I teased on a Instagram live feed, and I liked the design, I liked the construction of it, but there were some things I wanted to change. So I went ahead and had them make a new prototype with those small changes, just because I want to make sure that it's exactly how I want it before it goes out to the market. So this is my, let's see, how do I get this over here? Sorry, I'm not a YouTuber, so this is a micarta inlay.
Oh, wow.
Integral.
Yeah.
With a different yet similar flipper, right? So it still has that that geometry where you pull down instead of prime. So
Ooh, that looks really nice.
thanks, really appreciate that. I get, it's one of those things where it has a long straight edge here with a sweep up for the belly, and I started that design and did some prototypes in house, and I just loved how it functioned. If you're cutting cardboard, you get this nice long straight edge here to keep on that sheet that you're cutting. And then when you're scoring things, you get this nice belly right here. And, for a lot of the stuff that we use our knives for, this blade became so functional and so usable. Some of the things about it, it has a steel lock bar insert here. This lock bar insert is going to change a bit. But you can see how it has a very similar, similar to the Impulse, that it fits in here. I like how that works on these knives. The flipper tab is a hidden when open, hidden when closed flipper tab.
I really appreciate that part of your design. The flipper tab is functional. It's infinitely functional, but it's not in the way and make the knife look silly. There's many flippers out there with that extra tab is super obnoxious. This looks amazing.
I appreciate it. So it's funny, we're talking to a group of Spyderco guys, and we still haven't touched on the one thing that the spider flick.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, you can Spidey flick it with these notches here. And, that's one thing that, like I said, PM2,
right.
I don't think I've ever opened the PM2 with my thumb. That just felt weird for me, I spider flick them, and I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And if my knives came out without the ability to spider flick, then I'm not making it. So that's a big reason why I had that there. And quite honestly, I just kind of like how it looks.
I like the asymmetrical look of it. It's pretty sharp. It makes that side of the knife look really, I don't know the right word for it, but I do like the look of it, and it is functional.
Mechanical, right? So, and that's the thing. It's like when I designed this knife, excuse me, when I designed this knife, I wanted the show side to be pristine. I wanted to show off the grind lines. I wanted to show off the hand rub. I wanted to show off if you have the stone wash and you use your knife and you get some nice scratches on it. I wanted this to be a billboard for the knife itself. This side, I wanted it to show off the functionality, the engineering, the you know, what went into making the knife, the lock bar, you know, the flipper tab. I had to do this cutout here for that flipper tab, and I love that I had to do that. You know, an opening mechanism, the clip, the relief cut. I could have put the relief cut on the inside, but I did that because I wanted it there. I wanted you to be able to look at the knife and go, that's why this knife works the way that it does. But I also wanted you to be able to take those nice, pretty Instagram pictures with this side. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the show side of my knives. You know, I did that on purpose. I wanted, this is what makes me smile. And this I understand as being the, you know, the pretty side for some Instagram pictures. So that translates directly into this knife. This is the micarta that's going to match your Synapse for those, you know, those nice, cool Instagram pictures. Yeah, it adds a little bit of grip, but I just think it looks damn nice having it there. And then, you know, these become the you know, the guts to the knife, the mechanisms. So speaking of the nice, pretty side, I'll just show you guys one more thing real quick. So I actually do have another one of these prototypes that I got at the same time because I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted this knife to be. So both of these knives are the same. This one has the stonewash blade.
Hey, Joseph, did you save my credit card information or do you need it right now?
That's good to hear. You know, and I have to say, I appreciate you saying that. I always get, and I actually talked to Seth about this the other day. I showed him a preview of a knife I'm going to show you guys next, and I got you know, I never know what people are going to. Oh, nice Apple Card. I never know how people are going to respond to it. You know, I may think it looks nice, and my friends might be saying that it looks nice, but you know, to get that kind of reaction, I really appreciate. You know, this is a huge investment for me, and you know, my wife might tell me, "Honey, it looks fantastic," but you know, to get knife guys to be, you know, you guys aren't going to sugarcoat it for me. To get knife guys to say that they like it really means a lot. So, yes, this is a flipper tab. So, one thing I do that I don't know that a lot of other knife guys do is I design the prototypes to come out with extra. So things that I can adjust on them. So this one has extra flipper tab so that I can knock it down. Let me grab one of my.
If I may for a moment, the new blade shape on your newest design is incredible, and
thank you. I really appreciate that.
I love an integral knife, but I have many problems with the integral knives that I've touched from the company that rhymes with Miter Co. And this looks
say.
Yeah, I mean,
thank you.
To start with, their handles are too small, and there is not a lot to grip when you're using them. And your knives have a wonderful amount of handles, so they're nice to hold on to. I love the finger cutaway for the index finger. It's a nice depth. But that tip is just terrific. I love it.
At about a 3.5 inch.
Really?
Yeah. How big is it?
This one. Okay, so great question. So let me do a comparison. It's slightly larger than an impulse.
Wow.
Just ever so slightly larger. So let me do pivot to pivot. Ever so slightly larger than an impulse. The knife itself, however, let me see if I can do an end to end here. Let me see on there. End to end. And it's only slightly larger. It's about the same size as the impulse, because what I did was I moved the pivot forward. And I did that specifically on the impulse for a reason. I kept the pivot back a little bit because of how the flipper tab works. This one I didn't have to do it, so I was able to get a larger blade into a similar sized handle. So yeah, I think it's I have it on my website. I think it's 3.7 inches.
Yes.
But I like big knives. That's why my first knife was this, this large knife here. So what I was getting to earlier was I'm a tinkerer. I've always been a tinkerer, and I can't leave anything alone. It started with these and moved on to making my own knives. I've made a few knives before, and then so what I did was I had Best Tech produce the prototype with a larger flipper tab, so that I was able to incrementally reduce the size of it to exactly how I wanted it. I have 3D printers. I've 3D printed many knives, and that really helps me, because if you can get a 3D printed knife to flip well, you're damn sure it's going to flip well on bearings, and on a real pivot. So I think that had a lot of help. That helped me a lot in designing these knives, but you can only get so far with that. So what I did was I went ahead and reduced the size of the pivot, or the flipper tab, to exactly how I wanted, and then kept going until I ruined it. So I knew what my limits were. So even this knife that I've taken the flipper down on, this is the Impulse prototype, and you can see a very big difference here.
Yeah.
The hole going all the way through. Fun fact, that was never actually supposed to be like that. All of the knives were supposed to come with the just the milled pocket, but there was a little bit of miscommunication with the production company and the people that cut them out. So that's how they got turned.
Anyone else thinking that thing reminds you of Judge Dredd? I don't know why, but that lock bar on the newest knife is phenomenal.
Thank you. It's funny that you say that, because I did design that as an aesthetic feature, right?
I love it.
And unfortunately, I have some bad news. I went ahead and I reduced the size of that to right about here. It's still there. It's one screw now. I realize that you appreciate it, and some of you guys may appreciate it, but that's one of those concessions I kind of had to make for the masses. But at least I have a couple prototypes with them. So back to this knife. Yes, it's a front flipper. I was planning on dropping down this flipper tab to see where I liked it. However, I made the decision to actually not produce this in a flipper tab. And the main reason is, first, I don't know if you guys know, but this has an Easter egg function of actually being a front flipper. So it's really hard to do because my hand's at a weird angle, but this is a hidden front flipper.
So Bobby Casey's been working on his front flipper for weeks now, and he's finally got it mastered.
Let's see it.
Maybe we can get him to demonstrate for us here. Hey, Bobby, can you come off mute and show us how to do it?
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, the jimping is amazing, because that's really what lets you to do this, because you can get a really good grip on it. But I got to put a little bit of wrist into it. I can't just do it just all with my finger, but I basically squeeze the knife. I put my thumb on the jimping, and I just pull it up.
Nice, very cool. Looks like you put a nice edge on that one.
Oh yeah, I did. This is one I sharpened. I took it to 18 degrees. Everything that Jason has said is exactly how I feel about steel, and the M390 on this is really, really nice. M390 on other blades, on other knives, has given me problems before, but I didn't have any problems with this, and I really, really, really enjoyed sharpening it.
Awesome.
But
I appreciate that.
If anybody's trying to do this, the main thing is you don't want to hit your palm. So if you can keep your palm out of the way, it will come open. And that's what I'm doing right now, is hitting my palm. But yeah, if you don't hit your palm, it comes right open. So yeah, I tore my thumb up a lot trying to practice. Yeah, for about a week, but I really like that. I really like that functionality, and I'm hoping that you can keep the jimping on the new, the new knife will be aggressive like that, because I really do like that.
Your jimping
Very
is
cool.
incredible.
I appreciate that.
It's incredible jimping.
Yeah,
It's not,
I like a bit of aggressive jimping.
well, it's aggressive's not really the right word for it. It's effective. It doesn't tear up your pocket, and it really doesn't tear up your fingers, but you definitely get good grip on it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for showing us, Bobby.
What's the name of the third one? He hasn't said that yet. Has he got a name for it?
I don't. And here's the thing. I don't know if this is going to be my next knife or the thing I'm about to show you guys is going to be my next knife.
Ooh, something else.
I may have to do. I may have to do like a poll and put them up. So I'll tell you guys my next prototype, my Gen 2 prototype of this is going to be here in about a week, as well as the prototype for the knife I'm about to show you guys. So I'll be able to kind of show them off at the same time and kind of get a feeler of which one I should produce. So I will tell you guys, I am definitely coming. My next production knife is actually. Let me see if I could do this real quick. So my next knife is the Impulse Mini. Mainly because I want an Impulse Mini. So I'm having them made so that I can get an Impulse Mini to match my Impulse. One thing that I, started out, my first big boy knife was a Chris Reeves Sabenza. My second big boy knife was a Mini Sabenza. I loved having the matching pair. So this is the feedback on this was phenomenal. People really seem to want that, and I really appreciate that. So you guys get the exclusive. That is now in production, and the pre-orders for that are probably going to be the next pre-order that I do.
Mini Joker, make it happen, Joseph. Make it happen.
Maybe
listen. I may not be doing anodizing for anybody, but Seth, no matter what, you get the joke. You get a Joker for sure.
Oh yes.
So maybe the knife guys can help me. I've never seen a Tanto like that, as far as I know. Is this a unique thing, or is this something that's been done before?
Well, I could tell you. Yeah, I could tell you. Sorry, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, it seems like many knife makers have their own kind of interpretation of a Tanto. Like a Hinderer Tanto is very different from a Chris Reeves Tanto. So there's a lot of variation out there, but that said, this one is unique in terms of what's out there, but still falls within the parameters of being a Tanto. Would everyone kind of agree with that? Or
I find most Tantos look like a regular drop point blade that's been broken, and then we made the best of it. But Joseph, your blade does not look like that. It looks more like a drop point blade. We just have an extra tip here at the bottom, maybe sort of kind of.
And it has a little more finished look.
It does. It looks more refined. I love it.
Are you finding that? Are you guys finding that useful? I love using. I mean, actually, here let me switch back. You can see my knife gets used, and this is the first mark on it. And I use this more than any other part of this knife. Are you guys finding it, functional for you guys?
Yeah, it's great for draw cuts, just to sort of put down and go across with that sort of blade.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. I mean, this was this was an aesthetic yet functional design choice. I had this knife, and I can actually kind of show you guys. So this is a knife that I designed similar to this one around the time I was designing this one, and it has you can actually kind of see it's also a precursor to this blade with that long straight edge and a small swoop up at the tip. But I went with this Tanto for functionality and somewhat aesthetics. You guys probably aren't big into these knives because Spyderco guys and Strider guys aren't, there's not a lot of crossover.
Lone Wolf came off mute for a second. That was all.
Oh, hey, I didn't see her here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were able to join.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was looking at your mini saying, I want number 92, and I want it to look like 92. That beautiful thing.
Thank you, and I promise not to send it to anybody.
Good.
I'll take it.
Sorry about that.
No, you cannot have it. It's mine, and I want it to be blue Cerakote with to mask it just like my 92.
I promise. And actually, that's something I did want to mention here, guys. Some of the people on here have been there since the beginning, since Gen 1. And they're amassing collections, which honestly blow my fucking mind that people have collections of my knives, because I have collections of knives, and to the fact that people have that it's just great. And I want you guys to know I won't forget that. I will always take unusual requests from you guys. I will always try to go the extra mile, give Seth the Joker whatever I can, and loan her Cerakote, and no matter what happens, I will always do that for you guys, because I really, really appreciate it. So real quick, just back to this one. This knife is a big reason why this knife is Tanto, and a big reason why it has grind lines. You either hate them or love them, but I love Striders. They're not fussy knives. They're great users. They're very functional. And a lot of that thought process went into this, and this knife just works really well. And that's why this knife is a Tanto, and that's why I got grind lines on it. So
I don't think there's, from my point of view, I don't notice a lot of hate of the Striders, but I think when I look at it, I observe that it's a knife that when you hold it, you'll probably get it. So until somebody holds it, they probably don't understand why the handle's tapered the way it is, or why does the blade have that extra choil,
And even more so when you plunge this into some wood, or you're doing some fine-tuned work and you can choke up on it, or something happened and you need a knife to grab that is going to work. I grab this one. Right. I just know it's going to work, and it's going to work well. It's not going to snap off in my hand. It's going to stay where it's supposed to stay, even if I plunge it into some wood and try to pull it out. They just work. Okay, enough of all that. So I don't know what we're doing on time, so I'll get kind of show you guys that knife that I teased the other day. That's cool?
So is this the one you said is finally going to push me over the edge?
I'll speak for our friends here. I don't think any of us have anywhere to be. Brian Tidd did want to know if we're going to be at Blade Show.
No, I mean, I'll tell you this right now. One of my biggest regrets of this whole thing, listen, everything sucked, you know, having to not see our friends and family and all that sucked, but this was gonna be a great Blade show. And I regret that I can't go, but it's one of those things. I can't do it.
If you change your mind, you can drive up and crash with Thomas and I.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You'll have the,
oh, nice.
couch, but you can, stay on the couch.
I'll take the floor. I'm easy. Okay, so yeah, this is the knife that I showed on my Instagram story. This is a knife that I am extremely looking forward to getting in my hands.
You did it, you bastard. You did it.
I really, really hope you guys like this one. Let's see. I gotta figure out how to do this eloquently.
I'm excited already.
I already know where this is going.
Well, and this one's going to be a sub 200 on knife too. So
yeah, exactly.
Very excited. Yes, there it is.
Yeah, I knew it. I told him if he did that, it was going to be really hard for me to say no.
I have one.
What's that?
Yeah.
I said I have.
So would we call
That's
this
awesome to hear.
Would we call this a sheep's cliff?
Hey, I like that. And listen, if you guys have any, well, here's the thing. I wanted to design a cleaver, and I've always wanted to design a cleaver. And I've designed cleavers. I probably have cleavers hanging around here. I do, kind of. So let me just quickly shoot over here. So I designed this one a while ago, and I love it, but I think it looks a little too much like a slim foot. So I don't think I could bring this out to the market. So what I did was I went ahead and took a little time to get a worn clip or a sheep foot, or a, I don't know. I guess I kind of like that name, but I wasn't happy with any of them that were coming out. Finally adjusted this one, adjusted it 50 more times, and then 50 more again. And I finished this and I was like, I want that knife. I want to own that knife. And that's usually when I stop and then I move forward with production. Actually, that's not true. I will tell you a design philosophy of mine. I actually stop and I shut that knife down and I don't look at it for about a month. And then I come back to it, and if I still like it, or if I like it even more, then I know that I'm done with the design. And that's where I finally got with this one. So as you can see here, it has a full backspacer. So it's going to be a titanium backspacer and titanium clip. However, it is a liner lock. It's a nested liner, titanium liner lock with a lock bar insert. The handles are going to come in, I'm going to try to match your synapses because everybody loves matching stuff. So I'm going to get that, I'm going to do the micarta and, all the G10s. But I can't wait. I can't wait for this knife to come in. I'm just really, really looking forward to it.
If the name isn't taken,
what do you guys think?
Rhino was the first thought that came to my mind when I saw it.
Yeah, it's definitely Rhino-ish. However, I think I do have a name for it. If you guys know anything about brain function, which I kind of don't, but I do know that it starts with an impulse, it moves into a synapse, or no, wait, it's the opposite. It starts as an axon, moves to a synapse, and ends on an impulse. So I think, unless I hear something better, that this is going to be the Vero axon.
Yeah, you can't get better than axon. It just works.
Yeah, I think so too. It really did click. What do you guys think?
It's sufficiently geeky, which is very important.
Joseph, I love the idea of that nested liner lock in there. That just looks so clean on it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've never actually had a titanium nested liner knife before, and I don't know if they're made, but I thought it would be cool. So I designed it and put the lock bar insert in, and I think it's going to be light. This will probably be a little bit blade heavy, but I think I did some calculations, and I think it's going to be well balanced. The liners aren't going to be skeletonized because I think it'll just be too light at that point. But I can't wait to get this in hand.
I love it. It looks great. The blade and everything like that.
Thank you. One thing I do spend a lot of time on is how the knives look closed. I don't know why, but if you go through my design history on this knife, I change it from open to closed constantly, like obsessively, because I want it to look amazing closed, and I really hope I kind of hit that on this one.
Yeah, Seth. That was one thing I obsessively sent to some friends. How does it look closed? And they go, who gives a shit? Well, I do. I want it to look good closed.
I think it matters a lot. A knife that I think that's kind of polarizing like that is the mini goblin from Koenig. That knife looks kind of squirrely when it's open, but then when you close it, you go, "Whoa, look at that! That thing really closes up stealthy."
Yeah, it's very weird.
I think this is amazing. This is a really good-looking knife. I love the lock idea. The only knife I can think of with a lock close to that would be like the Spyderco Subvert, which, for all intents and purposes, is a titanium frame lock, and then it has G10 stapled on the outside. But I suppose you could consider it a liner. Depends on how you.
True. Yeah.
It's very innovative.
A friend of mine. Let's see if I get the camera back here.
Is it not going to have the flipper? I can't tell. I can't see if it's there.
So that's actually a very good question, and my answer is I don't know.
Front flipper.
You can see it's definitely a front flipper. So
how does it look with a Spidey hole?
It's funny you ask. It looks pretty damn good, honestly.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, that don't tell anybody else, guys. I actually designed this as a potential Spyderco collaboration that I was going to present them with. This was going to be that knife, not necessarily liner lock. Potentially, I was going to consider making it a compression lock, or an inner roll. I decided not to. Let me see. Let me look through my design history to see if I have the hole in this one.
When I think about all the cleavers I've seen in my life, they're mostly limited to cartoons, and they all had a hole in them.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Down near the end.
It's not where you put your finger up in the front of the blade, so towards the front area.
I'm thinking about Tom chasing Jerry with a cleaver, you know, would have a hole in it.
So you can see there is something different about this knife than all of my other knives, is that all of my other knives. I say all of my other knives, and I'm not talking about just my two. I have a lot of knives designed, like a lot. Obviously, I've only come out with a couple. So the knives that I've come out with. So it does also have the milled pocket on this side. And Jason, you're really going to appreciate this. This knife I plan on it being ambidextrous. So it will have a clip that will flip. But you will not see something like that. No. You won't see the mounting hardware on both sides. I'm going to do it so that you can mount it on either side, and you know it will be a lefty or a righty, but it will be the same knife.
Nice.
And then I was going to just show you guys real quick. Oh, sorry. Max's question about the flipper. So you guys can see that there's a similarity in this section on both this knife and this knife. I did that on purpose. One, because I think it just looks good, but two, I did it with the intention to potentially put a similar flipper tab on this knife. So the prototype is coming in without it. I'm going to see how I like it with just a front flipper. I'm going to get everybody's opinion on whether it should or should not be. And then I'm just going to feel it out and see how I like it. But yes, it may not have a rear flipper, but it may. I love how this flipper functions on this knife. You can prime it if you want to, or not prime it, and it just functions well.
Yeah, that's a good looking knife.
That's gorgeous. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Really glad to hear you guys say that.
Hey, Joseph.
Love the blade grind on that one. Love the shape.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I appreciate the explanation of the naming scheme with the brain functions, because occasionally to get my brain function, I do need a fulcrum too. It makes perfect sense.
That's good. Good.